Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Schuman. Love them or hate them, police pursuits have become a staple in the culture of Southern California. TV news typically carries them live. It's one of the most dangerous things, though, officers can do. Fortunately, most are quick, most end peacefully. Some take hours, though, and end violently. Some with a shooting, some with innocent bystanders injured, or in rare cases, someone killed. But almost all of them have something in common. At the end, the suspects are in handcuffs and heading off to jail for a significantly longer time, if convicted, than if they just pulled over when the flashing lights came on. Tonight, we're going to look back at some recent pursuits and let you know what happened to the suspects after the chases were over. We start with one of the most dangerous chases we've ever seen here in Southern California. It happened in February, involved two cars, several crashes, and a suspect actually shot by law enforcement. Bob DeCastro picks up the story.
The wild pursuit began around 5:40 in Boyle Heights. Officers spotted a Toyota Camry that had been reported stolen. The driver didn't stop, speeding through busy city streets, at times traveling the wrong way into oncoming traffic. The suspect hit several vehicles. The first accident in downtown LA. The suspect barrels through an intersection and T-bones a truck. About 5 minutes later, another crash. This time, the suspect is hit and knocked onto a sidewalk, but he straightens the car and takes off again. A third wreck in Southgate, flames shooting out from under his car after impact, but again, he keeps rolling. Then on Imperial Highway, he tries to swerve in and out of traffic and spins out of control, doing a complete 360. He decides to bail. Armed with a gun, he goes up to another car, pulls the driver out, jumps in, and takes off again as the terrified woman runs to get out of the way.
I seen him, he was trying to open the door, and when I seen him running towards me, I just kind of froze because I seen him trying to pull the gun already. And when he got next to me, he just pointed the gun and he's like, get out of my car, get out of the car, get out of the car. And I unbuckled my thumb and I opened the door and ran out, and that's when he went in. He just took off.
Now in another stolen car, the suspect continues. Officers following close behind on the 710 and then the 60 freeway. His car eventually wedged between two vehicles on Via Campo in Montebello. He once again gets out and attempts to carjack two drivers that manage to speed away. Shots are fired. The suspect is down. Officers swarm in, and he is taken into custody.
He was very brazen. I mean, any time that you have complete disregard for public safety and the safety of other individuals, and the individual was armed with the firearm, it's very, very dangerous.
Now, in that case, the suspect, 29-year-old Aaron Lorta, survived the shooting. He's facing a number of charges: willfully fleeing while driving recklessly, felony carjacking, and 3 counts of attempted carjacking. Now, all of that should send him, if convicted, to state prison for decades. Now, it's not often that a pursuit turns into like a spectator sport. You may remember this one. It happened on April 10th when a suspect in a stolen green taxi led police on a wild chase that drew large crowds, not on the freeways, but on the streets. Tony Valdez has that story.
It was a classic slow-speed chase. A Prius taxi meandering across South Los Angeles with at least 6 LAPD radio cars in slow pursuit. It began on Cimarron Street at Vernon Avenue near the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza Mall in South Los Angeles. Just before 1:30, a man with a gun ordered the driver out of his lime green rig operated by the Bell Cab Company. As he drove alongside the Alameda Corridor railroad tracks in Southgate, the taxi-jacking suspect had his arm out the window as though he was just taking an afternoon drive. Elsewhere, U-turns kept him from being boxed in at red lights, especially at the railroad tracks near Willowbrook Avenue, where he forced his way under the crossing gates and waited for the train to pass. But when it made a station stop instead, he just turned around and kept going. Along several streets, groups of people waited for him to pass, showing their support for what everyone knew would be a futile attempt to keep from going to jail. But by now, social media had made the suspect something of a folk hero.
Making sure he don't get shot.
Yeah.
Because the police is known for shooting, So we just want to make sure that he did not get shot.
At least once he dropped money onto the street as he drove by people who had waited to see him. About 90 minutes into the pursuit, the LAPD patrol cars pulled back, and 3 of the SWAT team's armored rescue vehicles moved up to become the primary units in the pursuit.
Our huge concern was that he may try and do something to cause us to use force to stop him from having to deal with those consequences. Our concern was that he may jump out and take a hostage.
At 103rd and Alameda, a pit maneuver ended the pursuit, and a moment later the big SUVs had the cab and its driver boxed in. After he was taken into custody, investigators said the suspect is believed to be responsible for robbing a cab driver last week, and in a separate incident, he allegedly hijacked another taxi.
Now, it's easy to see why that suspect, identified as 36-year-old Derek Bogar, was trying to get away. He's charged with felony kidnapping, 3 counts of felony carjacking, 4 counts of first-degree robbery, and then that willfully fleeing while driving recklessly was essentially the pursuit enhancement. Also, 2 counts of unlawfully administering a drug. And what happened there with people coming out of their homes, very unusual, but also something that makes the job of law enforcement that much more difficult. We got some perspective on this today from an expert on pursuits who happens to be from the LA County Sheriff's Department, Sergeant Daniel Dale, who works with the Traffic Services Division.
My personal belief is that it makes it kind of like a social phenomenon where people start gathering around their TVs, they start leaving their workstations to watch the pursuits. It even happens in our own stations, in our own offices. If the pursuit lasts a little too long, then folks start coming out of their house if they start recognizing the neighborhood that they're in. Because as you add more people to the street, then you're obviously going to put more people in danger. So it can add to the confusion, it can add to the danger level of the pursuit.
And we'll have more from the sergeant who's been involved in pursuits himself a little later in this half hour. But when we return, a chase ends with a suspect pointing a gun at sheriff's deputies. You can guess what happened next. And this suspect was all over the place and trying to get away from police.